Today on Mother Mayhem.
I think a lot of you daughters start assuming that effort has to automatically equal repair. And I promise you that it doesn't. Welcome back to Mother Mayhem, the podcast for daughters of narcissistic and emotionally limited mothers. I'm your host, Heather Gray. And today we're going to spend some time with a daughter whose mom is showing some signs of changing, of softening even. And of course, the daughter is coming with questions. And of course, her nervous system is coming in with a whole lot of protection, as it very well should. I know this is a super tender conversation, not just for today's daughter, but also for all of you too. After all, for so many of you, this has been the wish, right? For your moms to see the error of their ways and maybe start to change. This is a conversation that's going to end up bringing up some of the things like that for all of you. But I want to be really careful together while we have it. So today's daughter, I've named you Hannah after a new singer-songwriter I just discovered. She's got this song with a lyric that I've really just gotten attached to. And it says, "Hey, highway, I think I need a shoulder." And I always kind of geek out when lyrics do that kind of play on words like that. And also, highway, I need a shoulder. Well, shit. That has been me so many times, just driving in the car, listening to music, letting it all out. And I always just appreciate songwriters that can bring me into moments in their lives that make them so real and that I can feel them or see them or reflect back for me what it's like to be in my world and help me feel fully seen. And one of my favorite things to remind myself of is I think about this sometimes. If someone else wrote it, someone else felt it, that makes us all a little bit less alone in it. So Hannah, here's your letter, and I'm going to find all of you on the other side. Dear Heather, first, I want to thank you for all you do. The work you do makes a big difference, and I've come such a long way since I found your podcast. I feel like I have several questions I want to ask, but today I'm settling on just one question. What am I supposed to do when my mom appears to be taking steps in the right direction? I probably don't need to spend too much time telling you my story or who my mom is because I feel like you already know exactly who she is. I felt that from the first podcast of yours that I ever listened to. My mom is a covert narcissist. From what she says, her mother and grandmother were narcissists as well. She obviously has no idea that she is in fact also a narcissist, but she's completely textbook. She checks all of the boxes: a constant need for adoration and attention, major victim complex, guilt-tripping, manipulation. She's never wrong. She can't hear another opinion, the silent treatment, withholding affection, triangulation, etc. She's not the worst one, but she's not the best one either. Hannah, can I just tell you that I stopped on this line? It was like, that could be a t-shirt. That would be a really good t-shirt. My narcissistic mother. She's not the worst one, but not the best one either. She didn't have the best childhood, and neither did I. Whenever she would tell me about her childhood, it would blow my mind that she was literally describing my own, but she couldn't see it. There are 4 kids in my family, and we've all struggled throughout childhood and adulthood with the emotional problems that have come from the way we were raised. We spend many years triangulated and being fed lies about each other. We were all led to believe that we were, quote unquote, the only one for her, the only one that gets her, the only one that's there for her. It led us all to put up with so much over the years because we all believed if we gave up on her, that she would end up being all alone. This caused me years of my life over enmeshment and being charged as her therapist and her emotional support system. I try to do everything right and everything perfect because the message has been given to me throughout my childhood and adulthood has been if you do not be who exactly I want you to be, you are useless. Those words were never spoken exactly, but the behaviors have said exactly that. I always knew that she was off, but the day that I learned she was a narcissist was ironically the day that she told me her mom was. She quote unquote accidentally texted me an article about covert narcissism. When I read the article, I literally started having a panic attack. The article described her 100%. I thought she was going to ask me if it sounded like her, and I knew that I couldn't tell her the truth. I was relieved to discover that she, quote unquote, accidentally sent it to me while trying to send it to herself for her own reference. But oh well, since I saw it, it was time I learned the truth about her. Ever since that day, I knew exactly what she was, but chose to be there for her anyway because I really didn't believe I had a choice. I regret every single day my choice to do this because of the terrible place that it put me in. Since starting your podcast, I've come such a long, long way in my own healing when it comes to my mom. I realized that I did have a choice in how I handled her and that I did not have to put up with her behavior anymore. I'd gone from a place of being way overly enmeshed to making a lot of steps backward. I never thought I would be able to break her unspoken rules or ignore her narcissistic texts, but I finally did. I went from being anxious 24 hours a day about her to going entire days without giving her much thought. How about that, Hannah? How about that? I'm so proud of you for that. That's really good work there, and I'm happy that you got there. I'm finally in a better place than I've ever been. I've loved the distance. I feel like she's been poisoning my mind for years and years, and I'm finally breaking free. I'm by no means no contact. We just send casual texts a few times a week. I respond to neutral and positive things, and I ignore anything negative. This healing was happening simultaneously as she was having a major narcissistic meltdown. She was lashing out at all family left and right, and this is one of the things that helped me gradually start distancing myself. Well, because of her behavior, other family members had also started distancing themselves, and she was finding herself pretty alone. She started therapy several times over the years and almost always quit pretty soon. I believe she's only been looking for validation, and when she doesn't get it or is told she may need to change, she quits. Right now, however, she's seeing a therapist. A family member was able to speak privately with the therapist and give some background on her. Some family members believe that she really is trying to make changes, and I don't know how I feel about this. I'd finally come to accept that she would never change. I grieve the mother I wish I had. I made so much progress and spent so much time and emotional energy backing away. Part of me knows that she can't keep it up for very long, but part of me does believe in second chances. The thought of her taking positive steps should be a good thing, but it puts me completely off balance. I don't like it. It's confusing to me. I feel like I've spent my life being a glass that was shattered, and I keep trying to glue myself back together, but it keeps breaking again. Oh, Hannah. I feel like I finally had myself pretty well glued and I'm about to be shattered all over again. Oh, gosh, Hannah, I feel this one so much. I'm in it with you, sister. I don't think I ever even want her to change. I don't think I'll ever trust it or believe it. I don't think I understand a world in which she is any different than she's always been. I feel like a strong person would be able to just take it a day at a time and keep responding to the good and ignoring the bad and give her the chance to prove herself. I do want to feel like a good person and not feel like a jerk. I want to know in my heart that I've done the very best I can, but at the same time, what if I want no part in any of this? Even if it is a true change, the damage has already been done. I also worry that if the rest of my family is willing to go along with it, I am going to be left behind. And I don't want to be left behind. All of this being said, remember, she would probably also qualify as a quote unquote daughter. If she told you her story, you would probably say that we're all in it with you and we're all in it together. If she told you that she struggled with relationships because of how she was raised and her daughter thinks she's too much, what would you tell her? You see, I'm in this confused cycle. I just don't know how to be. It's actually easier for me if she continues to stay how she's always been. That's predictable. I know what to expect. Change is actually really scary. How can I be supportive of positive steps forward when I don't even know if I want positive steps forward? But I also don't want negative experiences either. And I want to be a kind, supportive person, but I don't think I can ever trust her again. How can I continue to enforce hard boundaries if she's showing signs of changing? And what if I gradually change my boundaries and she lets me down and shatters me all over again? Is it okay that I'm not strong enough to take something like that? Thank you for listening. You're changing lives. Oh, Hannah, sister. Oh, my goodness. Let's just take a deep breath and sit with you for a minute. I can hear how topsy-turvy she makes you and how all of this feels for you. And I'm so sorry for that. And I'm so glad that we get to talk about this because, yeah, your whole entire system right now is spinning. You heard something from a family member and your nervous system did what nervous systems do. It sprang into action. It tried to make a plan. It started to predict what might happen next and what might end up getting asked of you as a result. And of course, it did all of those things. I would probably do all of those things too if someone had told me that my stepmother had talked to them and seemed to be talking differently about my childhood too. I can practically hear the reverse brakes in my head. You know, the ones that trucks make when they're backing up, the beep, 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 beep. Maybe for you, it sounds more like a scratch of a record player when the pin moves out of place. But I also know that record players are becoming a bit of a dated reference. However it is for you, sister, I can simultaneously feel the screeching halt that you're experiencing while also needing to get your foot on that gas pedal and then get your foot out of Dodge. I want to slow all of this down for you. If it's all right with you, let's just sit together. First, I'm so sorry this is your story, that you're sitting in this and living with the evidence and the effects of generational trauma in your own life and in the lives of your siblings. That is an incredible amount to have to hold, and the weight of it, of course, is really heavy. So I want to walk you through this the way that I'm seeing it and see how it might feel for you as I do so. First, it kind of feels like the most important thing for me to say right away. Your mom has not come to you and talked about a change, expressed a change, or implied that she's changing. And that is a really, really important thing to remind yourself of here. So let's slow your story down and notice what happened for you. We want to pay attention to what actually happened, not what might happen or what other family members, as well-intentioned as they might be, might hope will happen. Let's focus together on what has actually happened between you and your mom. And if we take a moment to do that, we're going to see that very little has transpired between the two of you. Yes, a family member shared background information with a therapist, and a family member believes she's trying. But Hannah, that's all we really know right now. Everything else you find yourself sitting with right now is anticipation. And maybe it's also a little prevent defense. You're trying to get your dukes up and ready for her next move, but your body's hearing, my mom might be changing. That means that she could be coming for me next. But we don't actually know that yet. Here's what we're coming to know, though, right? Your nervous system has already started solving a problem that doesn't exist yet. And that's okay. It's what nervous systems do. We get it, but we also want to help your nervous system simmer down a little bit. And here's how I think we can start. The first thing I want us to ask and consider is, whose definition of quote unquote trying are we going to be going by? Your family members think they're seeing some effort. Great, fantastic. Effort's a good thing. But also, can we ask, an effort toward what? Do we know, for example, if she's only trying to be less lonely, or if she wants to feel better for herself in ways that have absolutely nothing to do with any of the relationships she's in? I wonder if anything about different includes the way she is with conflict or managing feelings that she doesn't like or find convenient. And Hannah, I imagine that you in present day, you from back in the day, in your nervous system of all the days with all the history, have a really important question in front of you. What does change look like? Is she taking responsibility, engaging in repairing any kind of relationship? Is she learning how to calm down? We can't swap out any of these for each other. And your nervous system already knows this. That's why it's freaking out. We know a lot of these things don't look like all the other things. And this is something that I'm wondering, and I think a lot of daughters listening in are probably also wondering along right with you. Even if she's quote unquote trying, is she trying to do what you need? From what you've shared here, it doesn't sound like she's gotten that far. And it's a really important question. Because when things like this start to go down, I think a lot of you daughters start assuming that effort has to automatically equal repair. And I promise you that it doesn't. If you have spent your childhoods chronically neglected, repair is never going to look simply like, I am in therapy. Real repair sounds more like, I understand how my behavior affected you, and I don't expect forgiveness. Repair means saying that she understands if you still need space while she works to earn your trust again. And it looks like asking about how it was for you, not sharing articles about herself. Repair is about all of these things. And this isn't even a complete list. But repair is not attending therapy. It's putting what was learned in therapy into action. And Hannah, I have to tell you this too. My favorite part of your letter, and probably what drew me to choosing this for the show, is how honestly you said, I am not even sure I want her to change. It's hard to say truths like that out loud, isn't it? And I really respect your bravery, because we hear so many daughters just wish upon the stars for their moms to change. And I also want to say, though, because I heard through your words here, and I respect them, but I also hear something underneath them that I want to help you with just a bit if I can. I think what I'm hearing you really say, and I have to admit this here, I might have this one wrong. You might be on a soccer field while I'm over here playing baseball. But what I'm hearing is that you don't want to reopen a door that you worked so hard to close the first time. I want you to hear the thread that I'm pulling together for you, because I don't think the question's ever going to be, has she changed? It's always going to be, has anything actually changed between the two of you? That's the relationship we care about, right? Not her connection with her therapist, your extended family, or even with your siblings. This is always going to come down to the relationship that she has with you. And you know me, Hannah, I am always going to want to welcome in your nervous system into the conversations that we have on this show. Because here's what's important for you to know, and what I want you to have so much grace and compassion with yourself about. Your brain hears and thinks, maybe she's changing. And suddenly your brain goes off and starts writing the full-length future movie. It is off to the races. One movie is, we're going to reconcile. Maybe I'll trust her. And then it swoops in another direction, and suddenly the story becomes, maybe she'll hurt me again. And then out of nowhere, maybe everyone will reconnect. And then it might swing towards, maybe I'll be the one left behind. There are so many scripts for how this thing can go, and none of them have happened. Trauma hates uncertainty, hates it so very much. So what does it do? It writes the endings before the story even exists. Ask me how I know. My brain is so good at creating stories lightning fast. And I think, Hannah, that part of what has you spinning and reverberating here right now is that you've suddenly been handed very little, basically a sentence from a family member, and your nervous system is rushing toward filling it all the blanks. It's the uncertainty that has you going. Obviously, I think we all hear that. But also, too, you're not even perseverating, I don't think, on the possibility of healing, even though that's its own thing in its own right. So because of all of this, your body is preparing for a relationship that hasn't even returned. And we want to help you hold on to this part, because I know it's not feeling that way right now. And that's okay. And that makes sense to me. But I think you're finding out that your body is already preparing. It's already bracing and armoring up. But Hannah, we don't yet have anyone actually asking if they can come closer. Your mom hasn't come close to apologizing. She's not running a flag up the pole asking for more contact. You haven't seen any more changes yourself, never mind any indication that she's made some changes and is consistently showing them. The way your body is reacting right now shows me and all of us the history it is carrying inside of you right now. We believe your body. It is telling you the truth. Hannah, I want to bring you back to something you said. I feel like a strong person would be able to just take it one day at a time. Give her the chance to prove herself. Well, when I read that sentence, I found myself wondering, whose definition of strength are we going by? Who ever taught you that? Because I don't think you were born believing that strength meant remaining available to someone who has repeatedly hurt you. I think you learned it. Many daughters grow up with an equation that sounds and goes something like, a good daughter gives another chance. A kind daughter keeps trying. A compassionate daughter understands. A loving daughter doesn't give up on family. A strong daughter can absorb disappointment without changing. And over time, those messages end up getting internalized for all of you. And so as a result, they don't even feel like beliefs anymore. They just start feeling like fact. So when you hesitate to reconnect with your mom, it doesn't feel to you like you're simply stating a preference. It feels like you're failing a moral test of some kind. But Hannah, Are we really going to define this as strength? Is it at all possible that what we're actually defining and talking about in this moment is survival? What do you think here? Because this feels like survival to me. Things you call strength, I just call endurance, the extreme sport kind of endurance. Endurance says to us, I can keep taking this. Strength, on the other hand, starts to say, I don't have to do this anymore. I'm not sure I've ever said this one on the show before, but something about healing that comes up for me inside this conversation. I think healing really does tend to ask us, or it challenges us a little bit to redefine the qualities that we have admired our entire lives. Healing isn't ever going to be about learning how to tolerate or risk more hurt. It's always going to ask you and encourage you to be honest about your limits and to protect your peace. And yes, it's true. Healing is going to have you taking an honest look at where you place your trust. And Hannah, I'd like to, if it's okay with you, point out something else that I'm seeing and hearing inside of your letter. I think one of the things I'm seeing and hearing is that you might still be measuring yourself, or maybe your sense of self, but by how well you're serving the relationship, not really by how well you are honoring yourself inside of the relationship. And at first, when you're healing, an early question, it very well might be, what does a good daughter do? But later, as you heal and you learn more, the question inevitably starts to become, what do I need to do, or who do I need to be in order to stay connected to myself? See, that's the difference. How do I exist in a room, in a job, in a relationship, in a situation without leaving myself? That's what I think your letter is highlighting and saying to all of us. I'm just not sure that you've caught up with yourself on that particular point just yet. And I think I also can help you, if it's okay, help you calm down so you can hear another important thing that your body is telling you. Boundaries do not respond to rumors. Full stop. We are not shifting your hard-earned, hard-fought boundaries simply because someone says that someone else is changing. We shift our boundaries when our lived experience changes, and not just once, repeatedly, over time, the same way we learn any kind of safety, because our systems don't register safety on these fluke isolated events. We need to experience consistent safety before our boundaries can shift. And that is not a Hannah thing or even a daughter thing, if I'm being honest. It's a people thing. It's a person thing. And I'm sure it gets your attention a little bit that your family member is optimistic, but holy heck, take it from this girl who knows. Optimism is actually not evidence of anything. Therapy isn't evidence of anything. Evidence is inside of our experience, on repeat, over time. And something else I've seen that I'd like to normalize for you a little bit here is that your family system very well may change faster than your nervous system. And I want to promise you that that is okay. And yes, other people around you may be quick to rush towards hope. You do not have to match their pace in doing that. You get to take your time. Your family might get swept up in possibility of change and reunion, but you're not obligated to join them. And yes, it's also true, I imagine that this might make you afraid of being left behind by your family. You're not just skittish here about your mom, but also what happens to the family narrative and what it might become if they turn to you at some point and say, "Hey, Hannah, look how much she's trying. Why can't you move on?" The fear here to me makes sense. And of course it does. But also, sister, their story, their truth, their reality, it never has to become yours if it means leaving yourself in order to do it. Hannah, I'm not sure we're going to get any of this to actually feel real and true for you if we don't also name that. Yes, your mom is also a daughter. You're right. From everything you've described, your mom likely was wounded too. She was someone's daughter before she was ever your mother. She almost certainly adapted to survival for her own childhood. And if she had found herself in a safe healing community decades ago before she had children, who knows what might have been possible for her. I don't have a hard time holding compassion for that. But here's what I don't want you to also accidentally do with that. Don't confuse understanding your mom's story with having to answer your own. Those are two entirely different conversations. Because if we're not careful here, I think we enter this kind of risky place, because then the question could suddenly become, if I understand why she became this way, does that mean I owe her another chance? No, you don't. Those two things, not the same thing. Understanding answers the question, how did this happen? It doesn't answer the question, what do I do now? Those are two different decisions and two separate conversations. I also think that there's something daughters carry that deserves to also be named here. When you begin to see your mom's trauma, you all immediately become worried that you're going to be or have been in some way unfair to her. You start to think, if she's hurting too, then maybe I'm being too hard on her. But compassion, it's never going to be about arguing or deciding who suffered more. Both of you can be in incredible pain here, and both of you can be deserving of healing. They don't have to cancel each other out, because here's the thing, you guys, understanding is not the same thing as participation. I can totally understand why someone becomes who they are. I can even feel incredible, tremendous sadness for what happened to them. And I can still decide that I can't safely be close to them. Those two things don't cancel each other out. They can exist pretty well together. Two things really can be true at the same time. So maybe the question isn't going to be, does my mom deserve compassion? Because I think the answer is yes. I think a harder question to ask in this scenario is, what does compassion require of me? Does it require daily phone calls? No. Does it require trusting someone before trust has actually been rebuilt? No. Does it require reopening any kind of access to your life before your nervous system is ready? Hell fucking no. Let me say this slowly and clearly for everyone. Maybe it's my next Heatherism. Compassion does not erase consent. Full stop. I'm going to say that one again. Compassion does not erase consent. One of the hardest things for you, daughters, is that you have spent so much time in your life believing that if you could just understand your mom well enough, you would finally know what to do. But understanding your mom doesn't automatically create any kind of clarity for your own life. In fact, sometimes it makes everything else feel so much more nuanced and layered and complicated because now we end up holding those two things at once, right? My mom was wounded and my mother wounded me. We're never going to ask you or encourage you to hold either one of those truths over the other one. And I want you to hear me clearly on this, Hannah. Your mom can very well start healing. And that does not mean your role in her healing suddenly gets ticked up a notch. That impulse is your old family system doing the talking. For years now, your main job was to stabilize things, soothe them over, smooth them over, reassure. I bet over the time you interpreted a lot for your mom and took so much of what she was carrying emotionally. So, of course, what happens when you hear mom is trying, your nervous system doesn't take that in as good news. It hears an old assignment being slid your way back across the table. She's trying now. It's your turn. Hannah, your mom's healing belongs to your mom. Whether, when, or how you participate in any future relationship is always going to be entirely up to you. We're talking about two different journeys here, and neither of them gets to dictate the pace of the other. Now, let's talk about your someday but not this day question. Let's imagine that over time, by all accounts and purposes, your mom really does begin to heal. What then? First, remember here, you do not have to decide today what you would do in a future that does not exist yet. But yes, it is possible for people to change. Not everyone, not always, and not on the timeline we often hope for. You said that your mom was clearly, by all definitions, a covert narcissist. And it's my bias here that while she may be able to act less narcissistically over time, the characteristics that you've known her to have are always going to be true about her to some degree. But also, yes, people can grow and develop insight. In my experience, this does look less like insight and more like better emotion regulation. But sometimes people can become more emotionally responsible when the way they've been moving through the world has cost them more than they're comfortable paying. Hannah, again, I would be having you make sure you're asking yourself the right question. Not, has she changed? But how would you know she's changing? If I were beginning to explore a relationship with a mother who is appearing to be healing, I wouldn't be starting with trust. Trust is something that comes way, way later. I would start with observation. Can she hear no without punishing me? Can she tolerate disappointment? Can she take responsibility without immediately explaining it all away? Can she apologize without making herself the victim? Or is she capable of staying curious about my experience instead of defending her own? Can she consistently behave differently over months and years, not days or weeks, or in some cases, minutes? And then, Hannah and all of you daughters thinking about this, I would move so freaking slowly. Sloth level slow. We're not testing her here. We're just making damned sure you all are respecting yourselves. Hannah, you have spent decades learning this version of your relationship with her. You are not expected to relearn whatever new one she's offering you in just a few months. Your nervous system, and quite frankly, all of us here at Mayhem are going to need some evidence. And we, my friend, are going to need a lot of it. You deserve that. No matter what, you'll never have to return to the relationship you had before. And I think that's another assumption a lot of daughters end up making. Your choices aren't keep her at arm's length forever or go back to the way things were. There are 100 different kinds of relationships in between those two places. You might see each other twice a year. Maybe you have coffee once a month. Maybe it's an occasional phone call, or you discover a newer relationship that neither of you has ever had with the other before. Hannah and any daughter listening into our chat today, if your mom genuinely heals, that's wonderful. It is wonderful because healing's a good thing, not because it obligates you to anything. One person's healing is never going to erase another person's injuries. It also is never going to erase all of that time you spent surviving, and you are allowed to let her healing be true. And you're allowed to still need time or distance or caution or a relationship that looks incredibly different from the one she might be hoping for. Your mom's healing may reopen the possibility of a relationship. I can take a bite out of that one. I don't really like it, but I can. It does not automatically restore your relationship. That difference there is really important. She can open up the possibility simply by doing some healing, but that doesn't automatically create a new relationship. It's so important to me that I say that and I name that really clearly for all of you, because relationships getting rebuilt, that is going to happen one interaction, one repair, one consistent experience at a time. And Hannah, my friend, my sister, I really hope by now you've heard me clearly on this. You get to heal from the old relationship before you decide whether or not you want to build a new one. If your mom ever truly changes, that old relationship will have ended too. You are not deciding whether or not you were returning to that relationship. You're deciding whether you have any interest in creating a different one with a different version of your mom. That shifts the question from, do I let her back in, to, do I want to discover whether or not something new is even possible? And you, Hannah, do not owe anyone any answer. Your mom's healing makes a new relationship possible. It does not make it required. Full stop. At some point, y'all are going to start saying that full stop with me. And if you do get it right, it usually goes something like full fucking stop. All right. Hannah, thank you so much for reaching out. You helped us have a really important conversation on the show. I really am sending so much care your way as you navigate all of this. You and everyone listening, you, Hannah, and all of you are a member of this incredible community of women from around the world who are in this together. And I, for sure, most definitely am in it with you too. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you felt seen, understood, and a little less alone in whatever it is you're carrying. The things we talk about here, your mother wound, trauma, identity, and healing, well, they were never meant to be worked through alone. Understanding matters, of course it does, but healing happens inside of relationship. That is one of the biggest things I have learned over the years of having these conversations with all of you daughters. It's also why I created Mayhem Daughters. Mayhem Daughters is my private online community for daughters of narcissistic and emotionally limited mothers. It's where the conversation continues after the episode ends. It's where daughters connect with one another, ask questions, receive support, and practice the work of healing together. Every week, we gather for Thursday Night Mayhem, our live community gathering. And throughout the week, daughters support one another inside a space built specifically for this kind of work. Because there comes a point when another podcast episode isn't actually what you need the most. Sometimes what you need is a place where you don't have to explain yourself so much, where you're understood, and where you can stop doing this work alone. That's what we've built inside of Mayhem Daughters. You can learn more at mayhemdaughters.com/community. If today's conversation resonated with you, please consider sharing it with another daughter who might need it. Your shares and reviews help more women find these conversations. And if you have a story, a question, or a reflection of your own, I'd love to hear from you. You can send me a message at heather@mayhemdaughters.com. And lastly, a heartfelt thank you to Heather Clark. She edits the show and has had my back for nearly a decade. There are very few people who have witnessed as much of Mayhem's evolution as she has, and I'm deeply grateful to have her beside me as I do this. This isn't just a podcast, it's a community. We see you, we believe you, and you already belong. And I'm so very glad you're here.